recap of World War II. Today, September 2nd, 1995, we celebrate the 50th year anniversary of the end of World War II. Tonight we're going to look at the cause and effects of the war and see how it still does affect us today. Now let's send it over to our World War II specialists, Jack and Diane, in the other studio.
Some of the causes even started as early as the end of World War I. At the end of World War I, the outcome was the Treaty of Versailles, which ultimately blamed Germany for the war and caused them to pay millions in reparations. These hard feelings stuck with the people. Eventually, this led to a dictatorship country run by Adolf Hitler. This theme continued in Italy, where Mussolini took control. These two countries and Japan became very nationalistic. Nationalism is an extreme feeling that one's country is superior than others. They all wanted to gain control of more land and grow their country. Then, in the fall of 1939, the event that sparked the war was the invasion of Poland by Germany. This act of war was the tipping point and caused many other countries to now get involved. Now I'll turn it over to Diane Smith.
At the end of the war, there were both immediate effects as well as some that came about years later. One of the immediate outcomes of the war was the number of deaths. The death total was greatly increased because the war included so many different countries, but also the Holocaust added to the number. Behind the scenes, Germany set up concentration camps where they killed millions of Jews using gas chambers, death marches, and other terrible torture techniques. Besides the deaths that took place in Europe, death occurred in the U.S. territory and Japan, which included many civilian deaths. Both the attack on Pearl Harbor and the atomic bombs dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima added to the total. Another immediate effect was the creation of the United Nations. It was founded only a handful of months after the end of the war. The idea was to have an international organization in place to prevent another world conflict to avoid this amount of devastation again. So far, to this day, it has done its job pretty well. Still in U.S. today, the United Nations watches over all countries with the task to keep order. There were some outcomes that developed over time as well. The atomic bombs brought the world into a new age of nuclear warfare. To this day, we have seen this new technology affect the world. One huge example that arose was shown in the Cuban Missile Crisis. This crisis includes the two superpowers that emerged after World War II. Those countries being the United States and the Soviet Union, who have been involved in the Cold War for the last few decades. These two countries have fought to show their strength, one being a communist country and the other a democratic. At the end of it all, 12 main countries fought in World War II. However, this war affected the world. This war was fought on the land of many different countries, destroying their landscape and included the deaths of civilians. The new technology of atomic bombs and Cold War affected even more people. These outcomes are still seen today, with new countries trying to create their own nuclear weapons and big countries trying to influence smaller ones.
As seen throughout tonight's broadcast, World War II had a huge impact on the world. It affected millions of people back then and even today. The event had created lasting effects seen to cause problems even decades later. Today we look back at those causes and effects, remembering all those who risked their lives in the war and those who were affected by it. All in all, World War II was a devastating war, and we hope that our world never sees anything like it again. Thank you, and good night.